Another lie. And by the way, Meghan, if you don't like me calling you a liar, just sue me and we'll go through all this in court.
You may already know that Meghan Markle has denied the explosive rumor about her so-called yacht girl photo with Prince Andrew. But have you seen the shocking receipts Piers Morgan just dropped? According to a close insider, the controversial photo was merely the opening bait. In his latest podcast episode, Piers unveiled a series of archived documents showing that Meghan and Andrew's first meeting was anything but accidental, as she once claimed. On the contrary, that encounter was meticulously arranged by Ghislaine Maxwell herself after a mysterious casting session in Chicago in 2002. And he didn't stop there. Piers also released evidence of indulgent European trips involving Andrew and Meghan during the period she was supposedly studying abroad in Madrid. But the biggest shock came from the testimony of a witness once tied to Epstein's network, who insisted she had tried to warn Meghan about Andrew back in 2002, but were ignored. Meghan Markle is the most psychotic woman with the most calculating mind I've ever seen. And if this is only the part they're willing to make public, then just how earth-shattering is the material Piers is still holding back? The answer lies just ahead. January 2025, one single photo detonates across the internet, powerful enough to shake both the entertainment world and the royal family to their cores. In the picture, Meghan Markle, Duchess of Sussex, standing on the deck of a blindingly luxurious superyacht sparkling under the Caribbean sun. Right beside her, none other than her husband's own uncle, Prince Andrew, wearing that sinister little smirk, standing so close it makes your stomach turn. His hand seems to rest ever so lightly on her lower back, a gesture far too intimate, far too suspicious. Within hours, Twitter, now X, is completely flooded with the hashtag #IMeghanYachtGirl, resurrecting all the ancient whispers about her past as a yacht girl, those gorgeous young women invited onto billionaires' boats to entertain. Reddit forums erupt with tens of thousands of comments, ranging from vicious takedowns to completely unhinged conspiracy theories. This is the final proof. Meghan was never the victim. She's the damn predator. Meghan, always lightning fast when it comes to public image, doesn't just sit there. She immediately hires Hollywood's most ruthless media lawyer hit squad. They draft razor-sharp statements and blast them to every major outlet. The New York Times, Daily Mail, you name it. Meghan swears up and down the photo is a cheap photoshopped scam. She demands investigations, threatens to sue anyone who even shares it. I am the victim of a systematic smear campaign, she declares in an Instagram post, voice dripping with emotion like she's crying straight into the camera. A few days later, when the pressure is at absolute boiling point, the tabloids finally dig up the real identity of the girl in the photo. Turns out it's not Meghan at all, just some brunette model with a similar figure hired for a luxury yacht advertising shoot. Meghan exhales, smirking inside, "Told you, just a misunderstanding," thinking the storm has blown over and she can glide right back to her glittering Montecito life. But then, out of nowhere, like a sucker punch from the shadows, Piers Morgan storms in. The man who has openly despised Meghan for years, the one who calls her a fraud on every TV show he's ever hosted, drops a real nuke this time. He launches his brand new podcast series with a trailer so dramatic it could be a Hollywood blockbuster. Dark, moody visuals, pounding suspense music, and Piers' deep, authoritative voice. Meghan Markle had a secret romantic relationship with Prince Andrew back when she was in college. I have proof, and everything will be exposed in the series, the shocking truth about Meghan Markle and Prince Andrew's past. The internet explodes harder than ever before. Hard Meghan Andrew scandal rockets to worldwide top trending. Meghan turns sheet white watching the trailer, hands trembling as she clutches her phone. She knows Piers never bluffs. The man has an army of sources and genuine hatred for her. But the line that sends ice through her veins is the very last one in the trailer, delivered like a final judgment. I have evidence. Things even Meghan herself never saw coming. What exactly is that evidence? No one knows. Piers just smirks meaningfully in the trailer, letting a long, heavy silence hang until the whole world is holding its breath. Something ancient, buried deeper than 2 decades, now yanked out of the darkness. One single detail, just one, would be enough to tear apart every single layer of the perfect mask Meghan spent years crafting. And the most terrifying part, even Meghan herself has no clue what it is. Episode 1 of Piers Morgan's podcast drops, and it unfolds like a full-blown horror film set in the past. 2002. The world is still reeling from the shock of 9/11. Meghan Markle is just a third or fourth year student at Northwestern University, double majoring in theater and international relations. Young, overflowing with ambition, bouncy curls, that dazzling smile that could melt anyone. She dreams of Hollywood, spotlights, major roles. She auditions for everything, networks at every event, eyes shining with raw hope. During a small but fiercely competitive indie casting call in Chicago, Meghan catches the eye of Ghislaine Maxwell. Yes, the same Ghislaine Maxwell who would later be tied to Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking horrors. The elegant woman with jet black hair and that mysterious smile approaches her after the audition. "You have real potential?" Ghislaine says in her silky British accent. "I'd love to invite you to a private event where talented young women like you can connect with very important people." Meghan, thrilled and still naive, says yes immediately. She thinks this is her golden ticket, the launchpad into the world she's always dreamed of. The event takes place at a lavish mansion on the outskirts of Chicago. Expensive wine flowing, priceless art on the walls, an atmosphere thick with secrets. That's where Meghan meets Prince Andrew. Middle-aged, impeccably polite, perfectly tailored suit, that trademark royal smile. He shakes her hand warmly, but his eyes scan her far too long, far too deeply, like he's appraising a luxury item. "You're an actress? How intriguing," Andrew drawls in his low voice. Meghan's heart races. A real-life prince is paying attention to her. After the event, Andrew whispers to Ghislaine, "That girl. Meghan, invite her to dinner tomorrow." And just like that, an invitation arrives framed as "for promising young talent." Meghan shows up in the prettiest dress she owns, heart pounding, convinced this is her entry into high society. Dinner is at a top-tier restaurant. Flickering candles, live violin, the full fairy tale treatment. Andrew is charming, listens intently to her acting dreams, asks about student life. Meghan is completely swept away. Young, naive, blinded by the glamour. She genuinely believes she's been chosen for her talent and intelligence. For the following weeks, Andrew arranges private meetups, afternoon tea in the park, art exhibitions at museums, neon-lit strolls through downtown Chicago. Meghan feels like she's living inside a dream, like the princess in some twisted fairy tale. She has no idea she's merely a carefully calculated plaything in Andrew's elite circle, a dark network where young women are exploited like disposable toys. Then, one autumn afternoon in 2002, everything shatters. A courier knocks on Meghan's Northwestern dorm door and hands her a plain brown envelope. No stamp, no postmark, as if someone slipped it directly to the mailman right outside campus. She opens it alone in her room. Inside are 5 glossy 4x6 photos shot on old film, blurry but crystal clear in their horror. Prince Andrew grinning ear to ear, arms slung around naked young girls on a pristine white yacht. Turquoise sea and a sun-drenched private island in the background. Another close-up, Andrew lounging on deck chairs, surrounded by empty champagne bottles and slender arms reaching out from the shadows. In the bottom corner of one photo, someone has circled a smiling face in red pen, Meghan's own face, taken at that very first Chicago event. Tucked inside is a small handwritten note, shaky but perfectly legible. "Meet me at Harbor Light Cafe, Lincoln Park, Thursday, 5:30 p.m. Come alone, don't let them know." No signature, no explanation. Meghan collapses onto her bed, photos spilling across the floor, hands shaking so hard she can barely think. She stuffs everything under her pillow, locks the door, turns off the lights. That night she doesn't sleep a wink. For the first time, an icy, nameless terror creeps into the heart of the 21-year-old girl burning with ambition. Who sent that brown envelope? And whatever they're about to reveal on Thursday afternoon, is it the final door to stardom or a one-way gate straight to hell? Most importantly, are they trying to warn her or threaten her? After episode 1 airs, Piers Morgan's bombshell accusations cut straight into Meghan's darkest secrets like a razor blade. The atmosphere inside the Montecito mansion turns suffocating, like a hurricane about to hit. Meghan Markle sits in her huge office, gripping her phone so hard her knuckles go white, eyes red from rage and fear. She's no longer that naive Northwestern student. She's a battle-hardened veteran of brutal media wars. Immediately, she summons her elite PR crisis team and lawyers, the same sharks who've pulled countless celebrities back from the brink. They huddle on Zoom, voices urgent, plotting like it's a military operation. In less than 24 hours, everything is orchestrated to perfection. Meghan is admitted to an ultra-exclusive Los Angeles hospital. Paparazzi, somehow, get photos of her lying pale in bed, clutching tissues, looking fragile. The official statement goes out worldwide. The actress is suffering a severe mental health crisis triggered by Piers Morgan and his baseless accusations. Her health is deteriorating rapidly, and doctors have ordered complete rest. Friendly outlets like People and Vanity Fair rush to publish tear-jerking headlines. Meghan Markle hospitalized from royal scandal stress. On social media, some die-hard fans brand Piers a cruel bully. Meghan lies there surrounded by fresh flowers and soft lighting, smirking inside. Classic playbook. Turn herself into the ultimate victim, flip the entire narrative, and redirect the mob against the enemy. But Piers Morgan, silver-haired British bulldog with eyes like daggers and 40 years of tabloid trench warfare under his belt, isn't some amateur. He's seen every dirty Hollywood trick 1,000 times. In the very next episode, aired just days later, he sits under harsh studio spotlights like a judge about to pronounce a death sentence. I know exactly what she's trying to pull. Piers sneers, a sarcastic smirk flashing across his face. Hospitalization, mental breakdown, that's nothing but a pathetic deflection from the truth. But I have a witness, someone who saw the real relationship between Meghan and Andrew with their own eyes. Not gossip, but lived painful experience. That witness? Virginia Giuffre, the woman who publicly accused Prince Andrew of sexual abuse, one of the most prominent victims in Jeffrey Epstein's horrific network. Virginia appears via video call from Australia, where she spent her final years before taking her own life. Her face is calm, but her voice is raw with old bitterness like a scar being torn open again. I'm the one who sent Meghan that package all those years ago, Virginia admits, voice trembling slightly as she remembers. I tried to warn her, but that meeting was an absolute disaster, and it became the biggest regret of my entire life. The audience sits frozen, hearts pounding. Virginia, recruited by Epstein and Maxwell at just 17 in 2000 at Mar-a-Lago, describes being trapped in that endless cycle of abuse, flown around to serve at elite parties where young girls were treated like objects. I knew that entire network inside and out, she says, tears glistening in her eyes. And when I heard Andrew talking about Meghan, I couldn't stay silent. The episode ends with one soft, devastating line from Piers that leaves millions speechless. Next episode, Virginia will reveal every detail of that meeting, and you'll finally understand why Meghan never, ever wants anyone to mention it. Screen cuts to black. No music. Just the sound of millions of pounding hearts. So what the hell happened at that fateful meeting that, more than 20 years later, Meghan would stage an entire fake hospital drama just to avoid anyone remembering it? October 2002. Chicago is still shrouded in the heavy gloom that followed 9/11. Virginia Giuffre, barely 19, has been trapped in Epstein and Andrew's web since she was 17. Recruited at Mar-a-Lago, no money, no freedom, clinging to the thinnest thread of hope. Every job is another night praying she won't come home with fresh scars. Her life, as she later wrote in her posthumous memoir Nobody's Girl, was nothing more than a toy in the hands of the powerful. Late September 2002, at a small but obscenely lavish party in a Fifth Avenue penthouse, the kind of place Epstein used to entertain rich and powerful men, Virginia is serving drinks and wine. She's been strictly instructed. Eyes down, mouth shut unless spoken to, but stay close enough to be always available. The air is thick with Cuban cigar smoke and low, smug male laughter, while beautiful young girls drift around like ghosts. Behind a half-closed living room door, a room with soft leather chairs and priceless art on the walls, Virginia overhears a conversation between Prince Andrew and a wealthy entertainment industry friend of Epstein's. The friend chuckles mockingly. "New girl, you look awfully pleased with yourself, like you just bagged prime prey." Andrew, voice dripping with aristocratic arrogance, replies, "An actress and still very fresh, studying theater and international relations at Northwestern. The type that falls hard for fame, dangle a few Hollywood promises, and she'll fly straight into the flames like a moth." The friend, curious, "Name?" Andrew pauses dramatically, savoring the moment. "Meghan. Meghan Markle." Virginia nearly drops the tray. That name, Meghan Markle, is the exact same girl a casting assistant had complained about that afternoon for trying way too hard at the Chicago audition. That same night, while quietly cleaning hallways, Virginia had glimpsed Meghan's photo in a stack of files Ghislaine Maxwell left lying around. Everything snaps together like a horrifying jigsaw puzzle. Maxwell spots Meghan at the Chicago casting call. brings her to the private event. Andrew takes the bait. Now she's in the crosshairs. Virginia knows exactly what that means. She's lived the exact same cycle. Flattery, promises of opportunity, ruthless exploitation. In 2001, she herself had been forced to have sex with Andrew in London, a memory that still haunts her nightmares. Rage and pity explode inside her all at once. For once, she can't stay silent. I have to save her, Virginia thinks, hands shaking as she prepares the warning package. Thursday afternoon, October 2002. Cold Chicago wind whipping in off Lake Michigan, carrying the scent of dead leaves and coffee from little neighborhood cafes. Virginia sits in Harbor Light Cafe, a cozy brick-walled spot in Lincoln Park with old wooden chairs where locals gather after class or work, clutching copies of the photos, staring out the window. She has no real plan, only hope that Meghan will listen and stay far away from Andrew before it's too late, before she's dragged into the same abyss where Epstein and Maxwell control everything. Meghan arrives a few minutes late, wearing an elegant wool coat perfect for autumn, face guarded and carrying that signature hint of arrogance. The 21-year-old who was supposedly studying abroad in Madrid, but flew back to Chicago for personal matters. She sits across from Virginia, eyes scanning her like she's sizing up competition. Virginia starts pouring out everything she overheard, voice trembling but determined. Andrew calling Meghan fresh meat, easy prey for fame, bragging that she was just party decoration, that once you're pulled into that circle of Andrew and his rich friends like Epstein, there's no escape, only permanent scars. Meghan listens in complete silence, fingers lightly tapping the table like she's calculating her next move. Then ice-cold voice. I think you've completely misunderstood. Andrew has been extremely kind to me. He listens. He promised to introduce me to people in the industry. This is my chance. She narrows her eyes suspiciously. Are you obsessed with him or something? Trying to steal his attention, or just jealous because I'm getting further than you ever will? Virginia feels the words stick in her throat. She sees it clearly. The ambitious girl with Hollywood stars in her eyes walking straight into the same nightmare she barely survived, from Mar-a-Lago to private islands soaked in crime. Meghan stands up abruptly, adjusting her coat with regal disdain. I don't need anyone ruining my opportunities. Keep your fairy tales to yourself. Virginia watches her leave the cafe, heart heavy as stone. She couldn't save her. In 2002, Epstein and Maxwell were still untouchable, flying private jets to secret parties. That failed meeting became the deepest regret of Virginia's life, as she later wrote in her memoir. The podcast ends with Virginia's chilling final line, voice trembling yet sharp as a blade. Meghan Markle is a sociopathic woman with the most calculating mind I've ever seen. The studio falls dead silent. The audience is left reeling. What hurts more? The dark truth about Andrew and his 2001 abuse allegations? Or the fact that Meghan, blinded by ambition, chose to walk straight into that hell with her own 2 feet, ignoring a real victim's desperate warning? After Virginia Giuffre's earth-shattering episode, the woman who was once a victim in Epstein's dark web, now the detonator exposing Meghan's truth, the internet goes completely feral. Conspiracy theories explode everywhere. Meghan was Epstein's spy. Andrew secretly funded her entire acting career, etc. Then a TikTok account called Laura from Chicago drops an almost 10-minute video that breaks the internet all over again. Laura, a mid-40s woman, sits in a modest Chicago living room, old textbooks on shelves behind her, evoking instant college nostalgia. My name is Laura Thompson, she begins, voice trembling but rock steady. And I was Meghan Markle's best friend at Northwestern University. We lived in the same dorm, 2B, shared everything from late-night snacks to boyfriend secrets. But today I have to speak out, because the truth can't stay buried forever. Laura slowly unfolds the memories like flipping through an old diary. I knew Meghan when she showed up to class in flip-flops, and we split the last pack of instant ramen at the end of the month, burning ambition, Hollywood dreams. To us, it was just normal girl talk. Then in 2002, she went to Madrid, supposedly to study Spanish really hard. Total lie. She takes a deep breath, eyes glistening. The screen cuts to old photos, curly-haired Meghan laughing outside the dorm, then suddenly glamorous shots in Madrid. Luxury villas, eyes already changed. Photos now being dug up by the internet like mummies from a forgotten tomb. Every weekend in Madrid, she just vanished. Laura whispers like she's pronouncing a curse. Said she had study groups but posted Friendster pics, seaside villas, crystal chandeliers, $1,000 wine, a broke college girl. Where the hell was the money coming from? We used to joke she had a fairy godfather. Her voice drops even lower, eyes welling up like she's finally saying the secret she's been terrified to speak for decades. Now, I know. Those vanishing weekends were when Prince Andrew had people fly her out to private parties across Europe, yacht parties in the Mediterranean, vintage French wine, haute couture gowns straight from Paris ateliers. Overnight, she turned from ordinary college girl into high society princess glittering under flashbulbs. I still have her old messages. Laura, I'm somewhere incredible meeting super important people. But now I understand. It was Andrew and Epstein's network where young women were served up like menu items. The video explodes to millions of views in hours. But Laura isn't finished. She describes the night their friendship died for good, late 2002, back in the States, a little pizza place in Evanston near campus. Laura, worried about the vague rumors of European parties, asks straight, Meghan, are you sure you're okay doing those kinds of parties? Powerful older men? Are you really sure? Meghan looks at her, a cold smirk curling her lips like she's talking to a naive child. Laura, you have no idea how the real world works. In Madrid, I met people you only see on TV, royalty, tycoons, superstars. That's how you get ahead. Then, the killer blow, staring straight into Laura's eyes. You're too small town, Laura. Stop trying to give me advice. Laura was blocked that very night. And not just her. Every single college friend was systematically erased from Meghan's life, deleted from social media, ignored at reunions. Meghan started building the new image, independent, ambitious woman with zero messy past. Laura ends the video with tears rolling down her cheeks. I once loved Meghan. But the truth has to come out. She chose that path herself, and now she has to face the consequences. As soon as the video goes viral, social media detonates. People dig up old Madrid photos, Meghan in luxury villas in Marbella and Ibiza, with captions like, amazing night with special friends. Bartenders in Madrid swear they saw her arriving as VIP arm candy at exclusive parties with powerful older men. A freelance photographer in Barcelona posts an old shot, Meghan in a ball gown surrounded by a group, with Andrew's blurry figure in the background. The puzzle pieces fit together in the most terrifying way possible. Group chats echo one sentence over and over. She was never the victim. Just an ice-cold opportunist who can act her ass off. From Montecito, Meghan feels every single brick of her reputation crumbling beneath her feet, impossible to glue back together. Just when the entire internet had turned into a screaming coliseum, with excellent Meghan lies glued to the top of every trending list, and Laura's TikTok being dissected in 10,000 post threads, screenshot by screenshot, caption by caption, old Madrid villa photo by old Ibiza yacht photo, another explosion hit. And this one came from inside the castle walls. A former assistant who had kept her mouth shut for years, someone who had been Meghan's shadow from the very first suits table, reads all the way through the royal wedding and the Great Montecito rebrand, finally snapped. She didn't just leak, she detonated. An entire folder of internal documents landed on a quiet, anonymous Reddit board in the middle of the night, and by sunrise it was everywhere. X, TikTok, Instagram, private Facebook groups, Discord servers, even the comment sections of random cooking videos. You couldn't escape it. Her name is Samantha Reed, mid-30s, once the most trusted soldier in Meghan's crisis army. The title of the post alone made millions stop scrolling. The truth from the inside, I can't cover for her anymore. The video she attached was raw, no ring light, no makeup, just a tired woman sitting on a sagging couch in a cramped Los Angeles apartment, phone propped up on a stack of books. She looked straight into the lens and spoke like someone who had finally decided the price of silence was higher than the price of truth. I worked for Meghan Markle for over 10 years. I was there for everything you never saw. She's brilliant, yes, scary smart, the kind of smart that can rewrite reality in real time. But she is also the most calculated image architect I've ever met. And after Piers Morgan, after Virginia Giuffre, after Laura, I can't do it anymore. I can't keep carrying the scripts. Then she dropped the evidence. Screenshot after screenshot after screenshot. Encrypted signal threads glowing toxic green. Internal emails with subject lines like, hospital narrative, urgent. Meghan's own words crystal clear. Time stamped the exact day Piers started lighting the fuse. Stage the admission tonight. Private clinic in LA, no public wing. Pale photos only, no makeup, hair messy, eyes red if we can manage it. Doctor's letter needs the words acute mental distress and relentless harassment. Get the bed shots with white lilies, they photograph clean. People in TMZ get first look 5:45 a.m. drop, no later. There was an attached Word document 23 pages long titled Victim Arc Full Rollout. It was broken down like a battle plan. Phase 1, controlled leak of health scare to 2 friendly reporters. Phase 2, official statement with carefully chosen trigger words designed to trend. Phase 3, mobilize the fan accounts with pre-written captions and scheduled posts. Every minute of the day was accounted for, even the brand of tissues that showed up best when not damp with tears. Samantha kept talking, voice cracking, but never looking away from the camera. She does this every single time. Every scandal, every fight with the royals, every old rumor that resurfaces, it all gets flipped into another chapter of the Meghan the Brave Warrior saga. She rises higher, sells more jam, gets more Netflix deals. But this round, with real victims speaking, I'm done. These files are the proof. She wasn't collapsing, she was directing. The internet didn't just explode, it achieved nuclear fusion. Within an hour, every major outlet had the same banner screaming across the top of their sites. Meghan's fake hospitalization exposed by former aide. The Guardian, Fox, Daily Mail, New York Post, CNN. They all ran the same leaked chats in giant, bold screenshots. Her Meghan fake victim locked itself at global #1 and refused to budge. Women who had once tattooed Meghan quotes on their ribs were now live streaming themselves, burning benches from her lifestyle brand in their backyards, laughing through tears of betrayal. "We were the props," they kept saying. "We were the extras in her movie." Meghan's skeleton crew PR team fired off frantic denials. Samantha Reid was terminated for gross misconduct and theft. These documents are fabricated, but nobody was buying it anymore. The receipts were triple verified, watermarked, time-stamped, impossible to fake. The spin machine sputtered and died. From the Montecito mansion, she stared out at the same Pacific Ocean that once looked like freedom. Now it just looked endless and cold. Emails poured in, not calls. Never calls anymore. Just sterile PDFs from brands terminating 7-figure contracts. Effective immediately. Charities quietly erased her name from their websites like she'd never existed. The Hollywood friends who once begged for seats at her table suddenly had publicists claiming they were unavailable for comment until 2030. This wasn't another scandal anymore. This was the whole cathedral of carefully curated victimhood, collapsing in slow motion, glass by glass, lie by lie, until there was nothing left but the echo. And somewhere in London, Piers Morgan was already in the studio, headphones on, that thin, satisfied smile creeping across his face, recording the final episode that he had promised would end it all. Montecito drowned in thick, unnatural fog. The kind that rolls in so heavy you can't even see the ocean from a $60 million clifftop mansion. Inside, the house that once roared with lavish parties, children's laughter, and the constant click of paparazzi cameras was now dead silent. You could hear your own heartbeat echo. Almost every light was off. The only glow came from a single dim bedside lamp in the master suite, the room she used to jokingly call her sanctuary of peace. Now it looked more like a crypt. Her entire crisis team vanished overnight. The million-dollar lawyers who once swore they'd sue the world sent terse, identical texts. "Due to irreconcilable conflict of interest, we can no longer represent you." Longtime staff, people who had called her boss with genuine awe for years, packed their bags in silence and slipped out into the fog. The massive front door slammed for the final time at 3:07 a.m., the sound ricocheting through the empty marble halls like a judge's gavel. The public had turned feral. Her Meghan lies dominated global trends for 10 straight days. No sign of dropping. The Facebook groups that once had hundreds of thousands of members defending her with their lives renamed themselves Meghan Markle Exposed overnight and turned into digital bonfires, photos of her photoshopped as witches, serpents, demons, pure evil, women who once rushed out to buy the exact same tea, the exact same dresses, the exact same lipstick she endorsed now filmed themselves burning it all on TikTok, laughing with vicious satisfaction. Not one voice left defending her, not one comment asking for compassion. Her so-called powerful friends, A-list actors, Oscar-winning producers, tech billionaires who used to beg her to come aboard their yachts, went radio silent. Not a single text of support, not one phone call. Her phone still vibrated nonstop, but only with notifications. Flights canceled, brand partnerships terminated, venomous messages from strangers, hundreds a minute. Karma's real yacht girl. Hope the view was worth it. Rot in that big empty house. In the depths of total desperation, something she hadn't felt in over a decade, Meghan did the one thing she swore she would never do. She texted Piers Morgan herself, from the private number almost no one on Earth has. At 2:17 a.m., first message, Piers, we need to talk. Just the two of us. I'm ready to hear everything you want to say. 10 minutes of silence. Second message, already pleading. You won, I admit it. Just give me one chance to explain. I have no one left. This time he replied, a 47-second voice note. His voice ice cold, surgical, no mercy. I actually liked you once, Meghan. I genuinely liked you. Back in 2015, I sat in that Soho bar for 3 full hours like a complete idiot, waiting, thinking, maybe, just maybe, something real could happen between us. But you stood up, left me with a full glass of wine, and ran off to your blind date with Harry you just matched with on some dating app. I laughed it off, told myself, fine, she deserves a prince more than an old journalist. But then you took that exact moment, me sitting there alone like a fool, and weaponized it. Turned me into the bully, the villain, the punchline in your Oprah interview, in your book, every single time you needed a monster so you could play the poor persecuted heroine. You built an entire empire stepping on people, using them as rungs on the ladder, then kicking them into the abyss the second they were no longer useful. Well, guess what, Meghan? Now it's your turn. You deserve every second of this. Don't message again. You're blocked. The voice note ended with a dry, final beep. Meghan slid down the wall and sat on the cold marble floor, phone slipping from her hand onto the priceless Persian rug. No tears left. She'd cried them all days ago. She just curled into herself, hugging her knees, listening to the wind scream through the bulletproof windows and the ocean smash against the cliffs below like it was laughing at her. Faces flashed through her mind, one after another. Virginia Giuffre's pained, pleading eyes in that little Chicago cafe all those years ago. Laura's tear-streaked face on TikTok, voice breaking as she told the truth. Samantha Reed's weary smile as she finally hit post and ended the charade. And finally, Piers Morgan, the man she once smirked at and abandoned in that bar, now the one calmly twisting the final knife. The mansion had never been so crushingly empty. Rumors were already swirling that Harry had quietly flown the children back to England days earlier. No statement, no photos, just gone. No staff footsteps in the hallways, no baby monitors crackling, just Meghan and the ghost she herself had created. Eventually, she dragged herself to the balcony. The Montecito sky was a wall of gray, the fog so thick the Pacific had vanished completely. She reached one hand out into the mist, fingers grasping at nothing, reaching for the reputation, the adoration, the invincible image she once believed was bulletproof. All of it gone. The cold, salty wind whipped her face. Her voice came out hoarse, cracked, barely audible. I've rebuilt my life so many times. How many times have I risen from the ashes stronger? Why this time? Are there no pieces left on the floor to pick up? She stood there for hours, until the fog swallowed her silhouette completely. And somewhere, in warm living rooms all across America, older women closed their laptops, turned off their TVs, and let out a long, deeply satisfied sigh. Do you still believe Meghan Markle is the victim? Or is the only question left in your mind the one that freezes the blood? Did she know exactly what she was walking into right from the very first day?